Yep.
No.
Yeah, we are
You
now.
don't.
All right. So welcome to the
You
show,
don't know.
everybody. It's
Beaming
me,
from the waist.
Jonathan, James, and Rod doing a live stream. I'm honestly planning on no one watching this one today because
Okay, cool.
I was trying to get like at least
Well, it's less pressure.
100 people to watch the last one, and nobody did. So we're still experimenting with it, and it's fun. I want to talk about this though.
Okay.
I am terrible at social media.
We're learning our bodies still.
I
In
am.
engineering sense.
Yes, Margaret. There are surprises coming.
Okay. I am terrible at social media. And
Right.
that's it's something that's been made apparent to me over the last couple of weeks because there's been a real emphasis at my radio company on social media. And it makes me feel so old and out of date and ancient. But I thought about it. Most radio people are bad at social media.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all of them, in fact. I don't know anybody in radio who's actually good at it. Like anybody who does okay. Like your former co-workers at KMBZ, besides myself, Dana and Scott. They're okay at it, but not great.
They were on it a lot.
They're on
being
it a lot,
on it a lot
like,
and being good at
what,
it.
what I consider good is like consistently getting hundreds of likes on comments. They don't
well,
get that.
and a lot of back and forth and stuff.
Yeah, the guy I used to work for in St. Louis, Dave Glover,
Engagement,
terrible
I
at
believe
it.
they call it.
Engagement. There you go.
Howard Stern, god awful at it. I really think that there's a thing where they're it. Mitch Hedberg had a great bit where he talked about how when he got to Hollywood, they expected him to be a writer, like to write sitcoms. And he was like, I just wanted to be a stand-up comic. And he's like, everything I tried to do, they'd be like, yeah, but can you write? And he's like, what if I spent my whole life trying to be the world's greatest chef? And then I get to a restaurant and they go, oh, yeah, you're a pretty good chef, but can you farm? Can you farm? And I realize, yes, I am old. And I realize, yes, I'm out of touch. But I think that's only part of the problem. I think the bigger problem is what I'm good at, as far as radio is concerned, is not translatable to social media. They're not the same things. It's not the same skill set. Because
No.
what social media is you pumping information into an outlet that then swirls it into an algorithm that then
You can
throws
get
it
an
into
electrical
people's
shock
faces.
Doing that.
What?
Pumping your information into an outlet. You can,
Okay,
you can
all
get
right,
an electric
yes.
shock doing that.
Pumping your information in with slow, deliberate strokes into an outlet, throwing it into an algorithm, it swirls it around, and then throws it into people's faces. That's what social media is. What I do in radio is get on air, find stories that I think are interesting, talk about them, discuss them with my coworkers, and invite other people to come and talk about them with me. The difference is,
Yeah, it's either that or it's playing games and shit. And,
Yeah.
and neither of those are translatable
to social media.
to social media
Yeah.
to 140 characters or less or whatever.
And it's frustrating to me because they're just like, well, we don't understand because for a show that's doing as well as yours, you should have more followers. And I'm like, why? What difference does it make?
Because your show should be a cult, John, and cults need followers.
I just,
I know for me, I actually I used to enjoy social media, and then it became this job, this thing that I had to fucking do all the time. And it became like a source of stress of
Yeah.
finding shit to post and posting shit and doing the things and keeping up with it. And then when I would try not to, I would feel guilty that I wasn't doing it and all this shit. And I finally lost my shit and just quit doing it. I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore. And I haven't in like 6 months.
Every
And
time he got on the social media, 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton started playing in his head.
the acrylic nails clicking on the mic. Yeah, the whole thing. Well, and you're right to do that.
I saw a thing the other day that said Dolly Parton
Okay.
and Elvira should do a Halloween movie where there are strange sisters that have to like come together and solve some big mystery or whatever to save the planet.
Here's the thing. The problem with social media is everything. The problem with social media is that it is fueled by irrational overreactions. And what I actually pride myself on is, while I am very volatile emotionally, I like to process things, and then the output is usually stream of conscious, but also coherent and not an overreaction. Right. I like to pride myself. We used to talk about this all the time. Like, it would be so much easier if all we did was get on air and scream about how one side is evil and the other side isn't, or whatever.
Oh God, yes.
But we're not those people.
Stephen A. Smith?
No, we're not that. Yeah, we're not Stephen A. Smith. We're not Alex Jones. We're not.
I hate that boring shit.
Yeah, because that's boring. But that's what the hot take stuff is, what works as far as social media is concerned. And that's the problem when you look at ESPN. ESPN sucks now. Have you tried to watch these sports talk shows? It's just guys basically reciting their Twitter feed on air. There's no rational process to anything. It's just, Mahomes is finished. No, he's not. And here's why. Yes, he is. And here's why. And there's no nuance. There's no in between. It's either black and white or hot and cold. It can't possibly be that there's some nuance in between. And it's just very frustrating. This is what our society is becoming, because in order for you to be successful as a media personality, is you have to have a good social media presence. Well, that doesn't translate all the time.
It reminds me of you and I, the three of us, listening to music and talking about the fact that these classic rock songs and older hits that were on Billboard charts taking 45 seconds and a minute or more to get to the hook of the song.
Yeah.
And you were like, dude, if this was a song now, this wouldn't get on the air. There's no hook in this.
Nope.
We've listened for almost a minute. Fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it wouldn't work.
In our hot take society and instant results, it's the reason, less and less people do long-term projects and shit. We all want something now. I want immediate results. And if I can't get them, then fuck off. I want the before and after today.
To me,
in regard to ESPN, all I miss is Stuart Scott telling me somebody is cool like the other side of the pillow.
Yeah. I miss Sportscenter. But SportsCenter wasn't just guys. I mean, SportsCenter still exists, but
it was good.
It's not what works for them anymore, because you can't. It's pointless to take. When was the last time you were on Twitter and saw a clip from SportsCenter? Never, because it's just highlights. It's just news. It's just information, and then it leaves you up to process it. The bigger problem I have overall is social media has become a contempt machine, where it's not even about getting the information or even disinformation out there. It's trying to get people to process what you're telling them with disgust. You're trying to get them to feel disgust for the person that you're against.
Yeah, whether everything is the nothing president, is for, everything's against.
Yeah,
nothing's
not even against.
For,
I'm not even
against.
saying against. It's a base level dehumanization where you're not even supposed to be angry at that person. You're supposed to be filled with disgust, because anger, well, I might be angry at this person, but I love them. You're angry at your kids sometimes, but you love them. When you feel disgust for somebody, there's no going back from that. And that's the conditioning that we're being forced. It's subjective.
Right, everything's extreme.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
John, you told me there was science that said hard-on was a cure for disgust.
Wait, what?
What? I mean, it sounds like something I would say, but I'm just...
you had a thing about how if you're sexually aroused, you tend to do things that you might look
Oh, that's true. That's true. If you're sexually... that is a fact. If you're sexually aroused, then you find certain things less disgusting, which is how sex works. Right. And how sex works.
So anyways, as far as what we were discussing,
Hard-ons, right?
Hard-ons, I believe.
No, wait.
Believe.
I'm so confused.
I don't know. I don't want to spend this whole time bitching about social media because I'm sure nobody cares. But
I was taking a walk yesterday or the other day, and on my walk
Walking rod, that's what they call
I'm
them.
walking with the dog, and we're strolling through the neighborhood, and we walk by this house, and there's a wheelchair sitting in front of this house, and it's just like this discarded wheelchair sitting out front, as if to say, "Take it if you want it." And I thought, surely it looks like a decent wheelchair. Surely they didn't leave this out here to be taken. Surely somebody just forgot to put it in the car or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I walked on. So the next day I went and we were walking along the same path, and I came across the exact same wheelchair in front of the exact same house, still sitting there. And I thought about it for a minute, and I thought, oh, what the hell? And I knocked on the door, and the lady answered the door, and I was like, did you guys accidentally leave this outside, or did you just leave this outside? And she's like, oh no, take it if you want it. I was like, cool. So my buddy Brandon, who lives out there in the middle of nowhere and the barn burned down, all that shit, he has been wanting to get a discarded wheelchair to make into a welding cart. And he has this welding cart with the big tall tanks, and it's basically on a dolly, and it's a bitch to move and all the shit. And we always figured a wheelchair would be very stable, and it turns on, damn near zero radius and all this shit. So I'm like, cool. So then I realized I have to walk a mile or so home, pushing a friggin' wheelchair that's way too short for me to push, and have the dog on the leash and the whole thing. And so I'm walking, and it's hot.
The dog in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Right.
Put a little, hold on. Don't dismiss it. You get him a little monocle. You get him a little cigarette holder. You make him smile. You call him F Dog R. I mean, golden opportunity. Just that's you.
Right out the window.
That's you. Sickening.
So,
Mr. President, what should we do?
So here's the thing. So I'm walking down the street. I'm pushing a wheelchair that's way too short for me to be pushing. So it's a pain in the ass, like I'm all hunched over pushing this thing. I'm wearing a black hoodie, and I got this long ass hair and a dog on a leash following me. And I'm pushing this wheelchair down the road, and I walk by this guy's house, and his garage door's open. He's in the garage working on whatever he's working. And he looks at me, and he watches me for a second. And he goes, "You a vet?"
Wait, hold on. Which one? Which kind of vet?
Veterinarian? Yes, sir.
Veterinarian? I'm actually, I only work with military dogs. I'm a vet.
I'm a vet.
I'm a vet.
Wow.
Yeah.
So no,
actually, my job is to make sure that people are legitimate doctors for military animals. So I'm a vetter.
You vets.
I'm a vetter.
Vetter.
And by the way, don't make fun of me, but I am related to the lead singer of Pearl Jam. That's right. My name is Vetter, the vetter.
Oh my God. So the point is,
see why we don't work on Twitter? See why this doesn't work?
So
somewhere Kenny Bania is, that's gold, Jerry.
That's gold.
This guy's standing there with this very suspicious look on his face, like I've just shoved someone out of a wheelchair.
Yeah. Yes.
And he goes, "Are you a vet?" And I kind of laughed. I said, "No, man." And I said to him, I walked by this house up the street twice, and this thing was sitting outside. So I knocked and asked, and I said, "I'm going to take it home and turn it into a welding cart." And this man's face like immediately went from, like, if he had just watched a Jack in the Box, those old Jack in the Box when you're a kid that go dun 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 dun, and the thing pops out, like his face went from suspicious to happy a second, like just wow. And he goes, "God damn, that's a good idea." It was the weirdest thing. Like I had just opened this guy's mind to a whole new world.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna turn it into a welding cart." And yeah, he's like, "Oh damn, that's a good idea."
By the way, I just want to say, if you guys are commenting or anything, I can't see the chat again this week. So again, I'm not good at this whole thing. I'm trying to get better at it. I really am.
because you're dumb.
But it's not even that I'm dumb. I lied when I said I'm trying to give. I'm not. I don't care. I want the engagement. I really do, but it's just difficult.
But you can't figure it out.
It's just hard. It's like I have a 12-year-old son. He should be able to show me how to do this stuff. I've asked him, and he's like, I have no idea how to do any of that shit, Dad. Then what good are you?
Yeah, Roman would be like, I can show you how to, like, I don't know, TikTok or YouTube.
Yeah. But if you are watching on YouTube or Facebook or wherever, make sure you like the video so other people can see it through the stupid algorithm or whatever.
You're not good at social media because you're actually good at plain old regular media.
Yeah, right.
Said Paul Silvio.
Thank you, Paul.
Stephen Hall, best definition of social media ever.
Yeah. Contempt machine? I'm assuming that's what he meant, yeah. That's what it is. I mean, when was the last time you went on social media and were like, oh, everybody's so happy here. Everybody's in such a good mood.
There is for the
Damn,
most
John,
part.
you sound like shit, man. You drunk love. Said Travis Perkins.
Okay.
It's you no longer look for things you like. You look for things that are wrong and things that you don't like.
Yeah,
so
and you know what? You know what? Actually, it is, and I've made this analogy before, but I'm going to do it again. There's a drug called dip.
Do it again. Do it again. There's a what?
A drug called dip.
Yeah, it's embalming fluid.
Embalming fluid. You take a cigarette and you dip it in embalming fluid, and you smoke it.
Joint.
And you know what it does? It makes you depressed.
Yeah.
It makes you sad, but it's also addictive. So you do it even though it makes you sad because you're addicted to it. And that's what social media is, because everybody agrees. I've seen studies on this. People all agree social media is bad for us. We don't like it. People also agree, I'm tired of how much anger there is, and I'm tired of how much hatred and disgust there is in this world. And yet they just go right back to social media and keep doing it because you get a quick dopamine release from the superiority of feeling better than somebody else. You know, I'm not going to lie, today when all that Aaron Rodgers stuff was happening, I was feeling really good about myself, making fun of Aaron Rodgers with everyone else and just showing our contempt and disgust for him.
I'm a little tripped out because I'm like watching this on my phone.
So we're a couple
and there's like live captioning.
Okay.
I'm a little.
Oh, like we're talking and it's okay. Yeah. Well, you can probably turn that off. I don't know. Anyway, like I said, like the video, on YouTube. I know there's like 2 people probably watching on YouTube, but if you like it and comment on there, then more people can see it, and we as we go ahead, we'll figure this out more. So anyway, I've just had it. I can't. With all of this stuff. I'm tired of being told that I need to be able to do more things than I'm already good at. I'm just like, I worked so hard to get good at one job, and then as soon as I got good at it, they're like,
masturbation isn't a job.
Not
and
good
I'm
enough.
Like, what?
Yeah. And I'm always like, well, couldn't you hire somebody to do that? Like hire some 20-year-old to do it? Yeah. I didn't hear what you said.
I'm sorry. We're on the same page. I swear we are.
Sure. Anyway, how are you doing, everybody? How are you?
So okay, here's this weird thing that happened to me.
Wheelchair thief.
Wheelchair thief.
You know what'd be funny?
Shoved a person out of a
If
chair.
I had been walking with you, there's no way that as soon as that guy accused you of stealing the wheelchair, I wouldn't have run 30 feet behind you and started crawling after you. Give me my fucking wheelchair back, you goddamn wheelchair thief!
Come back.
He said to me, "Are you a vet?" I said, "No, it's my ex-girlfriend's wheelchair. Guess who's going to come crawling back to me now?"
That's not.
So back when I worked at the jail, generally speaking, not always, took a while and they had to like you. But if they made you stay overtime, they tried to give you kind of a cushy post.
Yeah.
If you were new and they didn't like you, they didn't give a shit. They just put you wherever. But he'd been there a while, and they liked you, and he had to work overtime. They'd give you a decent post. So a lot of times they throw you somewhere like the infirmary, where there's like 8 people and they're sick, and you just have to make sure they're not dead. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
No real worries about fights or escapes.
Right.
Most of the time. There. That was before I started. But I had a guy in one of the rooms there that was on suicide watch, though, and you've got to go and check them every 10 minutes or so. Just make sure they're still alive, haven't killed themselves. Right. And that was at the whole other end of the infirmary than where the TV was. And I was going to have the TV on. I was there. I was working overtime and watch TV.
Yeah, I'm going to watch TV.
So they had some wheelchairs. I was like, I could walk that, or I could roll that. And I could improve my wheelchair capability, which you never know when you're going to need.
Hey,
I might like to have a good baseline for this.
Right.
You know what I've found as an able-bodied person, it's impossible to do if you sit in a wheelchair.
What?
Not immediately tip it back and balance yourself.
And try to make a wheelie.
It's so fun. Katie had a wheelchair. She had surgery on her foot. This is like 15 years ago. And she had.
That sounds awful. People in wheelchairs like, it's so fun. Fuck you.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of putting on somebody's glasses and be like, I'm so blind. But Katie had a wheelchair after she had foot surgery like 15 years ago, and I used to do that for hours at her house. I would just sit there and she'd be like, "You're going to." Thing. And one time I was doing it in her living room. They had a piano, and I was doing it right in front of the piano, and she's like, "I am gonna laugh so hard when you fall back and hit your head." And I was like, "You're gonna," and as soon as I said that, I fell back. No. And she said it was the funniest sound in the world because it's literally the sound of thunk, boom. God damn it!
Good times.
It was like a musical ending.
Yes, she said it was 3 distinct beats. It was your head hit. Then the sound, the keys rang out. She was like, that was a C, by the way. That was a C chord. And then you screaming, God damn it.
Managed to hit middle C as it came down.
Right there, yeah. Anyway.
So anyways, here a while back, and it's been a little while. I was, a long time ago, actually. I was at a drugstore in Dallas, Texas. And it was late, and I was in a drugstore in Dallas, Texas, and I saw this. You know how they have that rack where it's all the little die-cast cars? Uh-huh. They have all the little Volkswagen Bugs and the buses and the cars and police cars and the stuff. And if you put it down and you pull it back, it goes click, 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 and then it goes on its own, you know? So I was standing there looking at those, and they had a VW bus in there, and the VW bus said Flower Power on it. And this was right after I had learned that because of all the new products in legal and medical marijuana, when it came to vape and wax and edibles and drinkables and all this different shit, that now what we called weed is referred to as flowers. Right. That's flower. Like, so when you go to the store, you're like, I'm interested in flower. So I thought to myself that it was funny that this VW bus said Flower Power on it, and also flowers, weed.
Potable.
Oh yes, of course. And so I purchased the little car, the little VW bus, the little die-cast car, and took it home, and I drilled a hole in the top of it, and I put a pipe in it, and I turned it into paraphernalia because that's the kind of asshole I am. And so I made it a weed paraphernalia pipe, and it's a bus, and it says Flower Power on it, and it's really funny. So every time I showed it to somebody, they're like, that's awesome. I want one. So one day, not long ago, I was looking at the internets, and I found a thing on eBay where you could buy a box of 12 of the Flower Power little buses, right? So I bought them on eBay. And I took them to my brother's house and drilled holes in them all. And I put pipes in them all. And I gave a bunch of them to friends. I had 6 of them left after doing this, and I gave like 5 of them away to friends, and one of them, the little place down here in Grandview that's down the street, it's the what do you call it, dispensary, and it's very cool. The guy we talked about it before, he bought the whole shopping center, and he owns Pyramid Roofing, and he redid the place, and they've got a dispensary there, and he's going to have a grow operation there, and he redid the parking lot and the signage, and it's really nice, and the people there are really cool. And so one day I went in there and to purchase something, and I gave them one of the buses. I was like, here, it's like a gift for the shop, it's a cool thing. And they're like, oh, it's awesome, we'll put it on the shelf. So yesterday I think it was, I was sitting here at home, and I got a text from my friend Amanda, and she said that she was in the particular dispensary that we spoke of, the Relief, and she said to the guy that was helping her, she saw the bus on the shelf, and she said, hey, I have one of those, my friend made that.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh my God. And now, mind you, since I gave it to him, I've been in there several times.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I'm not a regular.
No. I find that hard to believe.
It's like, Norm,
that would actually be a great name for a dispensary, by the way. Hard to believe.
Hard to believe. So the point is,
suspend your disbelief.
They said to her, oh, we would love to talk to that guy and see about getting more, because people have offered to buy that thing quite a lot. And I was like, oh, she texted me this information, and I said, I have 6 of them left. And she said, you need to go up there. And I was like, okay, fine. So I grabbed the 6 of them I had left, and I went up there, and as soon as I walked in carrying the box, they're like, oh, good, your friend texted you. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, that's awesome. And so, yeah, I went in and showed them the ones I had left, and they thought they were really cool.
So,
and they gave me $100 for 6 of them.
How does it feel to be selling drug paraphernalia legally?
To a place that sells drugs.
Legally. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Your life has finally come full circle, is all I'm saying. It'd be like if Walter White at the end was making Adderall.
So yeah, this is look, this is the original one. Can you see it?
Oh,
this is the original one I made.
Yeah.
And
nice.
But yeah, so the point is, I made like there's 6 of them now at the Grandview Relief, if you want to go in and see about getting one.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they're gonna charge for them, but they gave me $100 for 6 of them, and then they're gonna sell them and see how they sell. And I was like, I'll tell you what, and I told the guy, I was like, give me $100 and I'll, get 12 more. And if we sell, I'll have more for you. And he said, okay, cool. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
That's neat. Of course, the first time I ever smoked pot with you, we did it out of an apple. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Why I need a fancy flower.
That is a
personal
price point for you of $16.66.
Yeah.
I don't know what your production and materials costs are, but
they cost me about $5 each.
Okay.
Well, and then a little more than that because of less than $10 each for sure.
Can we tell people real quick something that I don't think I've ever divulged on air, and I don't think I ever would.
What?
You guys remember Tiger Talk?
Oh God, yes.
So Tiger Talk was the Mizzou sports show that was on KMBZ from 7 to 8.
I just realized where you're going with it.
Monday nights. And it was awful. And it wasn't just awful because it was boring. It was awful because nobody in Kansas City wanted to hear about Mizzou sports. Most people didn't. Second of all, I obviously wasn't a sports show, so it made no sense to be in the middle of my show. It was also awful because then I had to come on after Tiger Talk.
Well, that was the thing.
And
they
reset.
Wouldn't let us put it an hour earlier or an hour later.
No. And then
you guys are getting some buzz mentioning Tiger Talk.
Are we? Yeah. So speaking of buzz, I'm not saying we did this every time, but when and it definitely wasn't. I don't want to implicate anybody who's not here. But I'll just say it wasn't Will Starrett and it wasn't Rebecca. It was somebody else.
But yes, the three of us
go down
We'd go down and stand out back and smoke weed out of an apple.
Like a bunch of high schoolers on break, and then come back upstairs and finish the show.
And do an hour more of the show.
And do an hour more of radio, which I don't remember, and I'm afraid to go back and listen to.
That's when we got in trouble. Remember, we got in trouble one time because we came back from Tiger Talk and we were like, I bet nobody's listening. I'll tell you what, if you're listening, text the word booger. And everybody did.
Everybody texted booger.
Our boss was so pissed. He's like, how dare you ask people to text the word booger?
Alan, who is like one of the nicest bosses I've ever had in radio. He was
pissed about the booger thing for some reason.
He was so mad. And I literally, he emailed me like saying that was the most disgusting thing I've ever heard and blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, what do you care? Nobody was listening anyway. That was our point.
Yeah, he wasn't mad that we were dogging Tiger Talk. He was mad that we said text the word booger.
But he and I told him, like, Alan, I walked in his office the next day and he was like, booger, really? And I was like, Alan, have you ever seen WKRP in Cincinnati?
Exactly.
And he went, yeah. And I was like, you worked in Cincinnati. You worked at WWL in Cincinnati. You worked at the station that was like the prototype for WKRP.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And I was like, Johnny Fever on WKRP was fired from his station in LA for saying booger on the air. I was like, is this 1972? Why would you be upset about that? And in typical Alan fashion, he was like, I was not upset about that. It was just, there was a lot of stuff. And then I tuned into your show and I heard something that kind of set me off. And so, yeah. He's like, but you do need to tighten it up a little bit. I was like, and I'm not going to argue that.
TJ Gum said, bet you were smoking with the sports guys.
No. I wish.
And Kayla Sierra Higgins said, booger, booger, booger.
Booger, booger, booger. We were not smoking with the sports guys. They would not.
No.
They wouldn't. They
no,
would
they didn't
lower
like
themselves.
That's
not true. I got along with I still get along with Carrington and Benny Heiss.
What's the? Oh, I love Benny Heiss.
Yeah.
Who's the big guy?
Danny Parkins.
Benny Hanna.
No, not that. The big dude that was always.
Binkley. Yeah, Jay's
Binkley.
great.
Yeah,
I love
great
Jay.
guy.
In fact,
great
we should have
guy.
smoked with Jay. Considering, well, never
we
mind.
should have.
Yeah,
I don't think he smokes, but we should have.
Jay. One time somebody came up to the station and threatened to kill me. Which is funny, but
that it only happened once. That's what's funny.
That's what's funny.
That it only happened the one time.
Jay opened the door, and the guy was like, "Is Jonathan Weir work here?" And Jay was like, "Yes." And the guy's like, "Tell him to stop talking the things he's talking about, or he's gonna get hurt, and I'm gonna be the one that hurts him." And Jay is—I don't know if you ever met Jay Bigley. He's a big man.
Oh yeah.
He like chased after the dude, but the guy got away. I can't even imagine what would have. Not like Jay was like my best friend.
Terrifying, yeah.
But the idea of radio, as you know, much as we might hate each other, it's still a clique. If anybody came up there and threatened anybody, you're threatening all of us.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not like you could go, who? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, that guy? Fuck that.
He would have crushed his head. He would have sat on him, crushed his head. It would have been amazing. I love Jay Binkley. Love him. All right, let's get to this as we need to wrap up. James, you've gone to see some movies. I would like to set this up as you trying to convince us to go see these movies. Okay?
Okay.
So, try to do it. What are the movies?
Okay, so in the past week, I've gone to see Last Night in Soho, which is the new Edgar Wright film. And I saw Eternals, which is the new Marvel movie, which has been very
maligned.
divisive.
Yes.
Yeah. So, honestly, here's the thing. I kind of missed going and seeing movies in theaters. You don't really think about it necessarily.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a different experience.
It has been a very long time since I've seen a movie in a theater.
And I enjoy it. But I'll tell you, the year and a half of like home streaming My bladder discipline is garbage.
Yeah.
I got
No matter
so
how much
accustomed
you
to being
wave
like,
and shit, they won't pause it. Just pause it. Come on, I'm not the only one.
See,
Pause it.
Can I just say real quick though? I have a weird thing where I like going to the bathroom just to go pee real quick. Preferably if it's a movie, like especially if the bathroom's right outside the theater.
Oh, you mean I would say everybody likes to go to the bathroom, John. That's why it's
No, I like to go. I like to go during a movie.
Need to do it.
Especially if I like the movie, because then if I see it again, then that
there's
one part of the movie,
this new bit.
It's weird, but that happens. You watch it, and you're like, oh, this must have been where I went pee, and then inevitably you pee yourself. It happens. You just feel this warm flood from your nethers, and you're like, it's happening again.
Fun little memory moment.
Anyway,
Psychological reaction.
So yeah, James, you can't pee. Got it.
Yeah. So Tuesday, I went and saw Last Night in Soho, which I'd seen some trailers for, and it looked intriguing. It's the new Edgar Wright film.
Edgar Wright, who did Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Baby Driver, a lot of great movies.
Love those
great
movies.
The Sparks Brothers documentary I've been talking about.
Yes, yeah.
Been blathering on about.
Yeah.
Did you go see that?
I have that on the Vudu.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, how is it?
Yeah. It's good.
Yep.
Is it? I've been dying to see it.
All right, so
don't die.
Hold on. I gotta hit this real quick. I had never heard of Sparks
the band.
at all.
Yeah.
The band, the Sparks Brothers, and the band's called Sparks. And anyways, James told me, it's like you at least go look at the trailer. Shit. And so I watched the trailer, and I'm fascinated by it. Like, I'm just blown away by it that I missed this group that has 24 fucking albums or whatever it is. And I'm like, how in the hell did this miss me? And I sent the same link, like the YouTube link, to a couple friends going, hey, do you know this? And of the 3 people I sent it to, 2 of them were like, dude, I can't wait to see this. This looks awesome. Like, this is very interesting. And one of them was, of course, oh yeah, my friend Damon, who's like that person, everybody knows that one person, which I think for a lot of my friends, it's me, but is that one person that goes, oh yeah, the Sparks, they're great, man. They're not for everybody, but they're a really good band, dude. And I'm dying to see this fucking documentary, and I've listened to a whole bunch of their music since you told me about it. And it's all kind of Devo, early 80s.
Yeah.
It's kind of all over the place. There's a little, there's bits with raunchy guitar, and there's bits with all just synth, weirdness. And it's very interesting. And every time I hear something like, when did this come out? This is so weird.
There's an anecdote that they bring up in the movie, and they talk about, like, they were on Top of the Pops or something. They were on some British TV show because they got some press in Britain before they really broke in the US. And the story is, and it's apocryphal, there's no evidence of it, but supposedly John Lennon saw it and called Ringo Starr and said, you have to turn it on this channel because they have Mark Bolan, who was the lead singer of T-Rex. Mm-hmm. He's like, Mark Bolan's playing a song with Adolf Hitler.
He was tripping his ass off.
But the one brother
did have that mustache.
Did rock the Hitler mustache.
And the other one kind of looked a little bit like Mark Bolan. So
yeah. All right. Anyway, back to the movie that James was originally.
Last Night in Soho. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
It seemed like an intriguing premise. This girl, modern day, goes off to fashion college in London, and she's going, and she kind of idealizes the swinging 60s. And then all of a sudden she starts having these dreams about, like, she's there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this girl, and she's like, oh, this girl's in trouble. And she's like, oh shit, this girl got killed. And it's like, they didn't really give you a full thing. It's like, okay, but this is, okay, it's an intriguing premise. Okay, I can kind of dig where this is going. And it didn't go exactly where I expected.
Yeah.
It kind of took a turn. It surprised me, which I appreciate. Expectation subversion.
Yes, me too.
And very fun 60s soundtrack. Some very,
cool.
sly
Very
performances. I think the last performance of Diana Rigg before she passed away.
This is a filmmaker who's very heavy on soundtracks.
Yeah, he always gets
and cinematography and shit. Anyways,
I heard an interview with him where he said that actually is what takes him the longest is getting the soundtrack right. That's the
really
thing that he's most obsessed with is because he made music videos like that.
Right.
That's how he started out with that and sitcoms. A sitcom called Spaced, right?
Yeah.
And he said that's his thing is he considers like his movies one long music video, and especially if you see like Baby Driver, that holds up.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
World's End is a great fucking soundtrack.
Yes.
And it's very funny the references they make to the music and shit.
Yeah. So last night in Soho, why should I go see it, James? Besides Edgar Wright,
you should go see it because it's a very artfully shot.
Is it funny?
Psychological thriller. There are funny aspects. It's more of a. It came out around the right time. It came out around Halloween, so. It's
very
little,
cool.
All right.
A little creepy, a little spooky, but not like a horror movie. But it'll take you some places you didn't expect to go.
All right, tell me about the Eternals.
So, this one has been getting some interesting press.
Yeah. People aren't digging it for a Marvel movie. And it's weird with Marvel movies because there's been a couple that have come out that have gotten some blowback from, I don't know how to put this, assholes? I guess is the best way to put it. Racist assholes? Sexist assholes? Like Captain Marvel, which is far and away not my favorite
it's not
Marvel movie. But I liked it.
Feminism.
Yeah, but I liked it. It was fine.
I didn't really like it.
Well, yeah, because you hate women. I get it.
I do. They just
Yeah.
I wish so much I could be gay.
He's tried so many times.
You know, some people try to pray the gay away.
No, I'm praying for the gay because women just piss me fuck off.
He's gay for the prey.
No, it just wasn't. It wasn't as good as the other movies. It was very predictable and it seemed rushed. I just didn't like it as much.
Yeah, and there was a female protagonist. I get it. All right, so James,
right.
what's with the Eternals? What's going on there?
Okay, so there's been some speculation that it's a little too inclusive. Gross. It's not the same as the white guys who drew it and wrote it in the 60s. It's not the same. Like there's an Asian lady, okay, and an Asian guy, okay, and a black guy who's also gay.
Whoa.
What?
Oh, so they tried to like Star Trek up the cast, right? Like there's a Russian guy.
Wasn't Star Trek
No,
always
not so much. But it's
you know, I didn't think about that, but Star Trek really was like the first
Scottish person, Russian person.
if these anti-woke warriors existed back in the 60s, which I guess they did, they probably just their heads would explode with Star Trek.
Wessel and all that shit.
Yeah. Anyway, so Eternals is like Star Trek. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So thus endeth the review.
Exactly like Star Trek.
So no. So it's Chloe Zhao who did Nomadland, which won Best Picture the other year.
Weird movie. I liked it, but it was a weird. It's weird that where you watch a movie where like nothing happens, but it's still captivating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I aspire to that.
You're Peter Gibbons from Office Space.
Yeah. I did nothing, and it was everything I hoped it would be.
So anyway, it's darker, not just like tonally, but also like the palette. It's not as bright and vivid as a lot of Marvel movies. It's kind of a bit more toned down.
Okay.
It's an origin story, so there's backstory.
Sometimes those lag a little.
You have to lay down.
Yeah.
Well, and probably the best that's been done in Marvel, if maybe ever, where you need to lay that down, is the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Yeah.
Like, it was just well executed.
I mean, it's only like
Period.
5 minutes at the beginning, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's another thing about it is it's
disturbingly
you
quick.
get a lot of information, but you get it real quick, and it's
Yeah.
out of the way.
And it's horrifyingly tragic. Your mom dies, and then you get abducted by aliens.
Yeah,
And then they might eat you. They're still on the
They just
fence about
threaten to
that.
eat you a lot.
and you
A
grow
lot.
up your whole life with one fucking mixtape, one goddamn.
Hey, real quick though, before you get back to your Eternals review, because I just thought of this joke. Hey, what's better than 69?
God, what?
88. You know why? Because you get 8 twice. All right, James. Back to your review of Eternals, the Marvel movie.
Okay, so it's a bit dense. It's a bit story heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But the visual effects are good. I thought the performances were good. It takes some interesting views on history. So essentially the gist is that they're all these superpowered beings that are sent to protect the fledgling humans
Yeah.
from these things called the deviants, and the deviants are these bad monstery things, and they want to kill people, and the Eternals won't let that happen because they're super strong, and they're all like they end up being the basis for like mythological heroes.
Yeah.
So there's
okay.
yeah, there's
Thor.
one called Icarus, and there's one called Mercari, who's Mercury. There's one called Athena, who's Athena.
There's so much of that in
there-
Marvel movies because, there's the Thor. It's like, nope, he was real. He was real.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Except for they
Loki
never
and
talk
all
about how
that.
Jesus was real,
Mm-mm.
Where's the Marvel Jesus? That's what I want.
No, there's the whole thing
It's-
about Tony.
Tony
what's his
Baloney?
yeah, it was Tony Sparks. What's his name?
I don't know.
Tony Stark.
Iron Man.
Iron Man, Tony Stark.
Starks, not
He's
Sparks.
Jesus?
Starks. You have
G.
Tony Starks, who's a serious fucking doesn't believe in God at all.
Right.
But his friend is Thor, who is a god.
Right. Yeah.
And then
literal God.
the other dude, Captain America, Steve Rogers, that dude is, fully like loves Jesus and the whole thing.
Yeah.
Who's also friends with Thor.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of screws up part of your belief as well.
Yeah. It is weird. But again, I want Jesus to join the Avengers.
No,
Santa
I don't think that's a
Claus
good
is
idea.
an actual character in the Marvel Comics universe,
I know, that's right. It's a fact.
and he's like Omega level. Like he tops out like strength.
Well, look, if Jesus joined the Avengers, he could bring them all back from the dead. He could heal them really quick. He'd make Thor happy, turning water into wine. I just think it's something that needs to happen.
Okay.
I'm sure that wouldn't offend.
So have
anyone
you seen?
at all.
Have
How
you
would that
seen
offend
this,
anybody? So you're
have you
saying
seen-
Jesus as a superhero, and he's already my personal one? That's offensive. Jesus.
Not only is he my
Super
chauffeur. Here's
Anyway.
the thing. Have you seen on Netflix this Inside Job? This cartoon show called Inside Job.
I've seen
It's
that
on the Netflix.
It's
funny.
anime before.
It's
Inside
not
Job.
that.
I'll check it out.
It's very funny and very silly. It is like at the beginning there's a guy talking about how the deep state that controls everything secretly, and they control the weather, and they're replacing the president with a robot, and and all this stuff, and you're like, okay,
God,
cool.
how would that
And
be a
then
step down?
you find out that he's retired from the deep state, and his daughter still works there and is running all these programs to replace the president with a robot and control the weather and everything, and like it's all real, and it's like this pain in the ass job for her.
Mhm.
And it's really funny. And the only bad thing is the guy's voice is Christian Slater, so it kind
Oh.
of bugs me. But other than that,
So
it's
like
very
a
funny.
Younger Jack Nicholson. All right, James, why should we see the Eternals?
Because it's a very visually striking film. It does some interesting things. Again, it does some expectation subversion.
Mhm.
I think, in my opinion, it's not a by the numbers Marvel
which is
movie, and I
apparently
think that's
people
why-
are upset about that because you can only complain about two things when it comes to Marvel movies. They're too formulaic or they're not formulaic enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of getting it into the Star Wars camp as well. At that point.
Right. All right.
Oh, to be a true Star Wars fan, you must hate Star Wars.
Yeah, true. All right, well, we're done. So, thanks for watching and everything, guys. Bye.